Hey everyone, so today we're going to be creating another game with Pygame in Python, and this is going to be race car with narrow passage. So in this game we're going to be moving a car to navigate through a narrow passage, and this is going to be similar to the previous game, race car with roadblock. Only that it will have a roadside block on each side of the road and a gap in between. The car needs to navigate through the gap. So since we are creating this in Pygame, the first thing we want to do is import our modules. So import modules. And we want to import, of course, Pygame, as well as time, and we want to import random. And the time and random module will come in later, but might as well just import them now. So we can initiate Pygame, and I want to note that this is always needed. So in order to initiate Pygame, we just write pygame.init right there. And to quit Pygame, we just write pygame.quit. Pygame.quit and quit. So if I run this right now, of course nothing's going to happen since we barely added any code. And to actually let's actually add something so that something will run. So clock, we want to add a clock. So clock is equal to pygame.time.clock RGB colors, and we want to set black is equal to 0, 0, 0, red is equal to 255, 0, and 0. And now we can actually start setting up our window. So set up window. So window width is going to be equal to 500. Window height equal to 400 pixels. Now window is equal to pygame.display.set mode, window width, window height. And now we can pygame.display.set caption. We could set the caption to like race car with narrow passage. So now if I save this and run it, you'll notice we had a window pop up and it immediately disappeared. So in order to actually keep the window on, we can write a loop for that. So let's create a function first. So define game function, define game loop. So this game loop is going to be our function that actually runs our game. And while true, for event in pygame.event.get, pygame.quit, and then quit. And what this while true loop basically does is that it keeps the window on instead of making it disappear immediately. And then you will only close the window only when you force it to close. So that's what this does. Or actually, we want to also write a statement. So if event.type is equal to pygame.quit, then we want to quit. So if we want to quit out of the game, this will basically allow us, this if statement will allow us to quit. Otherwise, everything inside this while loop will continue running. And then pygame.display.update and clock.tick 60. And this will mean that the window will update 60 times per second. And at the top, above this game function, or actually let me run this. Now you notice, let's see. Oh, that's right. We have to actually call this game loop function in our game. So game loop. So let's see. Main loop. So this is going to be our main loop. So main loop. So now you notice that this window stays on and doesn't disappear immediately. So we can close this, and let's move on to adding some images. So images, and we can have a background is equal to pygame.image.load, and I want to note every single image that I use in this tutorial will be in the description, so you can follow along exactly how I do it. and then the location of your image. And mine is going to be in a folder called images, and it's going to be the track PNG. Now car image is equal to pygame.image.load images slash Porsche.png. So now that I have these two images, I can show it in this game loop function. So right here inside my while loop, window.blit background with location 0, 0. And this location will basically show our image at the top left corner. So if I run this, then this will basically, yep, so we have a image in the background. Good. And actually, this can just be in the while loop, not in the for loop. So now that we have this, we should basically add a player. So let's create a player class. So class player. So we want to define init self.image is equal to car image self.width is equal to self.image.getWidth. So this will get the car image's width. Self.height is equal to self.image.getHeight, and self.rect is equal to self.image.getRect. Self.rect.x is going to be equal to int window width multiplied by 0.5, and self.rect.y is going to be equal to int window height multiplied by 0.5. And this self.rect.x is going to basically be the location of your x coordinate when you spawn, and this y, self.rect.y, is going to be the location of your y coordinate when you spawn. And then we can also create another variable, self.speedx is going to be equal to 0. And this will help with our movement later. And now in our game loop, we can create a player object. So player is equal to the player, an object of the player class. And underneath where we blit out our background, we can blit out our player. So player.image. And our coordinates are going to be player.rect.x and player.rect.y. And now, let's see, let me run this. And oops, let's see. I spelled int wrong right there. Int, save. And now we have a car in the background. So that's working. Now we can actually move on to keyboard binding and getting input from our keyboard. So in our player class right here, let's add a function called update. So define update of self. And we want to set key state equal to pygame.key.get pressed, and if key state pygame.key left, so the left key is pressed, self.speed x is going to be -3, else if key state pygame.key right is pressed, self.speed x is going to be +3. So if they press the left key, you're setting the speed to negative, which is the left. And if you click right, the right arrow key, you will set the speed to +3. Else, you want to set the speed x to 0. Yep. And then you can self.rect change the position of your x equal to the previous position x plus your self.speedx. Alright, so let's save this, and actually before we play our game, we want to call the update function. So in our while loop, let's see, right here, we want to call player.update. And now we could run it. And nice. Okay, so I'm able to move left and right with the arrow keys. But you notice that the car is able to move onto the grass and even out of bounds. So now that we have this movement working, we can check for boundaries. So above our player class right here, let's create boundary checking. So west boundary is going to be 157, and our east boundary is going to be 359. And in our update function of our player class, we could check for the location of our player and if it is in the boundary. So let me actually go up here and check boundary, let's check the west boundary first. So if self.rect.left is less than the west boundary, then self.rect.left is going to be equal to the west boundary. Now we could check boundary east if self let me scroll down a little. Okay. Rect.right is greater than east boundary, then self.rect.right is going to be equal to the east boundary. So basically, if the left side of the car tries to move past the left boundary, then you'll set the left side of the car equal to the left boundary. And the same thing for the right boundary. So let me run this. And now if the car tries to move onto the grass, then the boundary basically protects the car from the grass and keeps the car on the road. So that's all we have for this part. I'll see you guys in the second part.